do you feel when you watch the US men's national team?
Well, there's energy to it. I think this is the one opportunity where we can become fans. And so we're trying to find that balance where we're giving good analysis, but also just feeling the emotion of the game in the moment. And so there's I'd say a delicate balance of wanting to look at it critically and not let that maybe overspill into being too harsh on the players, because we've been players before, so we know what they're going through. But then also just kind of, we just want to be excited about what's happening as well. So when they win, it makes everything a lot easier. When they're not maybe playing as well, it's harder to maybe find those spots. But we love being a part of it, and we love all the fans that join us, so keep making that happen.
For me, I watch with a real intensity. I'm emotionally tied, mentally tied to this group. And so when you watch and you're so invested, I've always been a player that shows my emotions. I can't just keep them in. So when it's high, I'm high. And when it's low, it's clearly low. You could, Jimmy's always like, all right, Charlie's not feeling it today. Because I can't hide it. I'm in love with the U.S. men's national team because I know what it's done for me. And when we're part of the brotherhood, you support them. And the pressure's there, and you want them to succeed. We want them to do well. It's one of those things when it's like you're a parent, and you're watching your kids play. You want them,
want them to do well.
You can't go out and do anything. They have to want it. They have to fight for it. And I trust that they can go out and make us proud. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for, is that they give everything they have to try and go as far as they possibly can and inspire the next kid.
Chris Richards is going to be recovering from a sprained ankle. So the big question here, and the big guidance that Poch will have to be feeling, is will he start? How do you think Poch will be going about this, Charlie?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because Chris Richards is the best central defender that we have. He's been sensational at Crystal Palace in the English Premier League. Yeah, just won a European trophy in the Conference League. Obviously, he couldn't play in that final, but helped the team get there. It's very difficult to play when you have a sprained ankle.
Yeah.
And Jimmy can attest to that because he was a center back, and knowing when you have to pivot, when you have to push, I think the benefit for the U.S. is that both Paraguay and Australia are not a team that's throwing a number of players at you and putting a lot of pressure. It's mostly counterattack and set pieces. If you had to, you could play without Chris Richards for those two games. Where you really need him back and you really need him fit is against Turkey.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think what's interesting is that when you're a center back and you're playing against a team that likes to counterattack, like we should see against Paraguay and Australia, you're doing a lot of stop, and then you got to, because you're probably in their half of the field, there's going to be a lot where you maybe check in and then you got to go up over the top. If you've got a sore ankle, that could be a thing. If you're a team, if you're sitting in a low block and you can just kind of put people in good spots and stand on top of your box, then you're not getting maybe as exposed as much and having to track things in the corner. So I see what you're saying, but I also, it's interesting the situations we might find ourselves in when those two teams in particular like to hit on the counterattack. I wouldn't risk him if he's not 100%. I agree with Chuck there that if we could get 7 more days from the Paraguay game to the Australia game, why not take those 7 days, knowing that we could maybe manage and most likely should be able to manage Paraguay without him there. But if he can go and we can continue to get him stronger as each game goes by, then yeah, go for it.
Yeah, because he didn't play in the 2 friendlies that the US just played, but he's trained this whole week. So you have to kind of measure where his fitness will be at.
Well, he says he's ready to go.
I don't doubt his fitness.
Okay.
He played a long season, so even though he's been out at the end of the season, it's almost like your body gets a little time to recover after a long, grueling season, where most players are right back into camp, playing a couple of friendly matches and then into the World Cup. So he's had some time to recover both mentally and physically. And for his ankle, by the time it heals, which is you want that swelling to go down, I think he wouldn't have lost that much match fitness. If anything, it might be a little sharpness might be gone, but ultimately I think he'd be good to go if his ankle's all right.
Okay, we're going to be taking a look now at projected lineups, the starting 11. Boys, why don't you walk us through this? This is when the US would be out of possession and in possession. Yeah,
I'll go first with out of possession. We're going to sit in our back 3. So let's say Richards does start. You'll have Matt Freese in goal. You have Tim Ream. That still could be Turner, but you have Ream, Richards, and Freeman. I think Freeman's clearly owned this position now, especially over the last couple friendlies. Serginho Dest and him have a very good connection. You got Jedi and Ream who played together at Fulham, so they have a good connection as well. Because we're taking on Paraguay, who I think will sit back a lot, you maybe put in an attacking option into this space as opposed to maybe as a Berhalter or Roldan or anybody else that's a little bit more defensive-minded. So Tillman, I thought, actually did a decent job of that against Germany when him and Weston McKennie flip-flopped. When you put Weston up higher, he can join the attack and be a little bit more connected to Florian Balogun and Christian Pulisic, which I think really kind of adds to his ability to be unpredictable, but also just to help connect and combine. And I thought we saw some good combination play there. But that's obviously, I'm getting into in possession. But out of possession, this is what it should look like to make sure we're difficult to break down. But as we move up the field, just making sure we're in good spots. If Tillman can sit a little bit and allow Tyler Adams to hunt, that's what he does really, really well. And I'm curious as to see what that looks like so that we're making sure we protect that space in front of our back line.
And what I would add to that, Jimmy, is when we watched Paraguay play in the friendly against us, they were attacking this space because Dest, who played in that game, likes to get high. You're asking a lot of questions about him, and you're asking a lot of questions about who's playing in this role. Now, if they're playing a little bit higher, they're looking to attack this play and play quick in behind those center backs, is where they scored against us. So you know what you're going to get from Paraguay.
No big surprises there. Sorry.
How does it differ when they go in possession?
In possession, you're going to see, and there's obviously some pictures from our last couple games, and Chuck, I want you to jump in here too, where you can have Jedi up here, you'll have Dest up here as well. They'll almost be in a line of three. Christian will find this pocket. Tillman and or McKennie will also find a different pocket of space. And now this almost becomes like a 1 in this. And then you're trying to create overloads in this areas of the field. But then if it does get wide, then a Tillman can push out here, or Jedi and Christian and Fuller and Balogun can be in these spaces to create it. We saw actually good examples of that against Senegal in particular. But really what I'm worried about the most is if we lose the ball committing those numbers going forward, what does this look like? Because the more we're locked in here, then we can just continue to keep them pinched into their half and can continue to put the pressure on.
And what I'll add to what Jimmy was talking about in terms of Weston playing here instead of Tillman, right? A lot of people will say, hey, I want Weston here more deep because he makes late runs, and I'd rather have, maybe instead of a Tillman, who we're talking about in this position, you have Zendejas, you have Reyna, you have Aronson, you have a number of other players. But I'm with Jimmy in terms of this is a game for Tillman because he can take long-range shots. He's got one of the best shots of players within this group. But ultimately, when we're talking about Adams here, he's forced to do a lot, put a lot of fires out as technically a lone 6. But when they lose the ball and they have to collapse, it's the back 3, they have to get tight. And then whoever between Tillman and McKennie have to come and play alongside Adams. So you're looking at almost like a trapezoid here in 5. That's got to be your base at all times when you lose possession. But the timing of Anthony Robinson and Dest, who have to provide width, that's how you stretch Paraguay, because they're going to be tight, they're going to be compact. You play quick, you play wide, and I think Dest will really stand a chance to have a massive impact in this game because his 1v1 dribbling is what really offsets strong defensive structure.
Speaking of USA against Paraguay, Jimmy, I expect a good match. The first game is a tone setter, without a doubt, and I don't think by any means that we should underestimate any of these teams in the group stage, although we might think one is particularly more weak than the other. And that goes for every team in this group. I think at the same time it's a double-edged sword that all of these teams in our group avoided having a juggernaut, Jimmy, where we don't have to play an Argentina, a Brazil, a France, a Spain. But I think that's the same thing that Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey are saying, right? So we have to take these games with with a lot of seriousness, because if we don't, you lose to Paraguay in the opening match day at home, and it sets the tone. Treat this game as a World Cup final. And I'll push back on a little bit of what Charlie was saying. I was privy to your conversation. If Chris Richards is 100% against Paraguay, you play him. There's no messing around. You can't think that we're better than somebody, that you could rest somebody. I want my best team. Now, if he's not fit, sure, you rest him. Give him a break. Try to get him up to speed. Because you could be going home in 3 games. And then you rested Chris Richards for what? To play a nonsense group stage?
I don't think he said that.
I never said that, Nico. Don't be putting words in my mouth.
But don't say the
I said if he's not 100%,
Sorry,
you have the chance to rest him until when you really need him, because
You triggered him.
Australia
He's triggered.
and Paraguay are very beatable without Chris Richards. That was my point.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.